Welcome to the part 1 of tutorial series How to Create First Experiment. The series of videos will guide you through TraceLab in order to build first experiment. Tutorials will show users how to build vector space model experiment from scratch. You can see it now open in TraceLab. This is completed experiment that you will create. You can find in program files, coest, TraceLab tutorials, first experiment directory. In this introductory video, we briefly explain several concepts that users should understand before building above experiments. The experiment you see generates trace matrix between small set of regulatory codes and set of requirements using so-called vector space model with TF-IDF dictionary. Once trace matrix is computed, it compares it with answer trace matrix and computes metrics and displays final results. As you may notice, the experiment refers to requirement traceability. So what is requirement traceability? Requirement traceability refers to the ability to describe and follow the life of requirement in both a forwards and backwards direction. In other words, the goal of requirements traceability is capturing the relationship between different software artifacts, such as requirements, use cases, design documents, classes, and methods and test cases. Our experiment also uses one of the standard information retrieval method, commonly referred as vector space model. For that one, I'll go to Wikipedia, where we can read the definition about a vector space model. Essentially, it's an algebraic model for representing text documents as vectors. Those vectors can use different weightings for each of the terms. In one of the best known schemes is TF-IDF weighting that we are going to use. TF-IDF stands for term frequency inverse document frequency. Finally, also for similarity scores computation, we are using cosine similarity, which cosine is one of the most common ways of computing that similarity, but there are also other ones. For more information, I would recommend you here to read Wikipedia or find other articles and other publications about vector space model. Final thing before creating vector space model experiment is to know some of the basic data types that we use in the in our experiment. So if you go to the wiki to TraceLab types, we have the list of them that are being used in the first experiment, and that the types that are common for the requirements traceability research domain. So first of all, we operate with so-called TL artifacts. The TraceLab uses the artifact as a generic way to refer to any information resource item within a software project. Artifact is a textual representation of any kind of information produced during that software development process, including mentioned requirements, design specification, UML diagrams, and so on and so on. Essentially, this is what we are tracing in requirements traceability. TL artifacts collection is simply the collection of the artifacts, while the TL similarity matrix represents the set of links from source artifacts to target artifacts with assigned probability scores of the relationship. The matrix can be used either as a standard similarity matrix or answer set matrix, and it is essentially implementation of traceability matrix that you can read more about it in the Wikipedia. So that's essentially all you have to know before building this experiment. This first tutorial concludes just the definition. Follow up to the next tutorial to find out how to start creating this experiment.